Imagine a moonlit night in ancient Greece. A group of initiates descends into a torchlit cave, their faces hidden behind masks of gold and ivory. The air grows thick with incense as they gather around a mysterious figure who holds an ancient lyre. What secrets were these people about to witness? What forbidden knowledge awaited them in the darkness below the sacred groves of antiquity? The Orphic Mysteries, perhaps the most enigmatic spiritual tradition of the ancient world, have remained shrouded in secrecy for over 2 millennia. These weren't just religious rituals, they were gateways to another reality, portals to understanding the cosmos itself. And behind these veiled ceremonies stood a network of brilliant minds, the Pythagorean elite, who guarded mathematical secrets that could reshape our understanding of existence. What we're about to uncover might rewrite history, because these weren't just philosophers discussing abstract ideas. They were members of what might have been the ancient world's most powerful intellectual secret society, one that influenced everything from mathematics to music, from cosmology to the very foundations of Western thought. What if I told you that the greatest minds of antiquity, including Plato himself, were initiated into mysteries so profound that they could only be whispered about behind closed doors? And what if these mysteries still echo through our world today, hidden, in plain sight within the symbols and structures of our modern civilization? Do you think you're ready to step through the veil? The story begins with a legendary musician, Orpheus, whose melodies were said to tame wild beasts and move even stones to tears. But Orpheus wasn't just a mythical figure. He represented something far more profound. According to ancient texts, after his tragic descent to the underworld to rescue his beloved Eurydice, Orpheus returned with secret knowledge about the afterlife and the true nature of the soul. Picture ancient Greece in the 6th century BCE, a world where religion and philosophy hadn't yet separated. In this landscape of competing ideas, a revolutionary spiritual movement was taking shape. The Orphics, followers of Orpheus's teachings, began developing a complex theology that challenged the conventional Olympian religion. They believed in something radical for their time, that humans possessed divine souls trapped in mortal bodies, destined to undergo cycles of reincarnation until purification. The soul is immortal, for that which is ever moving is immortal, wrote Plato in his Phaedrus, echoing Orphic doctrine that had been whispered for centuries before him. But how did these mystical beliefs connect to the brilliant mathematical minds of the Pythagorean Brotherhood? Imagine a secluded compound in Croton, southern Italy, around 530 BCE. Here, Pythagoras, known today for his famous theorem, established what modern scholars describe as part religious cult, part scientific academy. The initiates lived communally, following strict rules of secrecy, vegetarianism, and mathematical study. As historian Peter Kingsley notes, they weren't just studying mathematics, they were practicing a form of spiritual transformation through numbers. The connection between Orphism and Pythagoreanism runs deeper than most historians acknowledge. Both groups shared fundamental beliefs: the immortality of the soul, reincarnation, and the possibility of purification through specific practices. But while the Orphics expressed these ideas through myth and ritual, the Pythagoreans translated them into the language of mathematics and music. Consider the Pythagorean discovery that musical harmonies correspond to mathematical ratios. When they found that pleasant sounds could be expressed through simple numerical relationships, they didn't just see a scientific curiosity. They glimpsed the mathematical structure underlying reality itself. The cosmos sings, they might have said, and its song is written in numbers. This wasn't just abstract philosophy. The Pythagorean elite cultivated an aura of mystery and wonder around their knowledge. Imagine the astonishment when Pythagoras demonstrated how string lengths could be manipulated to create perfect harmonies, a revelation that seemed to bridge the physical and divine worlds. As Aristotle later wrote, somewhat dismissively, the Pythagoreans, as they are called, devoted themselves to mathematics, and seeing that the attributes and ratios of musical scales were expressible in numbers, they supposed the elements of all things to be numbers. But what if this wasn't just intellectual showmanship? What if the Pythagoreans were deliberately creating a system where mathematical knowledge served as the outer layer of a much deeper mystical tradition, one with roots in the Orphic Mysteries? The ancient world whispered about the akousmata, cryptic sayings that Pythagoreans memorized and contemplated. What are the Isles of the Blessed, the sun and moon? What is the oracle at Delphi, the tetractys? These weren't mere riddles, but keys to understanding reality for those properly initiated. As classicist Walter Burkert suggests, these sayings formed a system of symbols pointing to a reality beyond rational comprehension. But what exactly happened during these initiations, and how did they transform brilliant mathematicians into guardians of cosmic secrets? The answers might lie in the most closely guarded aspects of the Orphic tradition. Deep within the Orphic cosmogony lies a creation myth unlike any other in the ancient world. According to fragments preserved by later Neoplatonists, the Orphics believed that in the beginning was Kronos, time, and Ananke, necessity, who gave birth to ether and chaos. From these primordial forces emerged the cosmic egg, a perfect self-contained universe. When this egg split, it revealed Phanes, the firstborn deity of light, described as a radiant, hermaphroditic being with golden wings and the heads of various animals. This might sound like just another colorful myth, but for the initiated, it contained profound cosmological truths. The egg represented perfect mathematical form, the sphere, while its division mirrored the Pythagorean concept of harmony arising from the separation of unity into multiplicity. As classical scholar M.L. West notes, the Orphic cosmogony was not just religious poetry. It was a sophisticated attempt to explain the origins of cosmic order. But the most shocking aspect of Orphic belief was their understanding of human nature. According to their secret teachings, humans contained a divine spark, a fragment of Dionysus himself. The myth tells that the Titans, jealous primordial beings, dismembered and consumed the child Dionysus. Zeus struck them with lightning, and from their ashes, humans were formed, containing both the Titanic, earthly, and Dionysian, divine elements. This dual nature of humanity became the cornerstone of Orphic practice. Initiates underwent catharsis, purification rituals, designed to liberate the divine element from its titanic prison. These included abstention from meat, ritual bathing, and participation in teletai, secret ceremonies where initiates would experience symbolic death and rebirth. The gold tablets found in Orphic graves across the Mediterranean reveal fragments of these mysteries. One from Thuri reads, "I am a child of earth and starry heaven, but my race is of heaven alone." Another instructs the deceased, "You will find to the left of the house of Hades a spring, and by it a white cypress. Do not even approach this spring. You will find another, the lake of memory." These weren't just burial instructions. They were maps for the soul's journey after death, ensuring it wouldn't forget its divine origin and would escape the cycle of reincarnation. The initiated were literally being prepared for their afterlife journey through these mysteries. Now here's where the Pythagorean connection reaches its most fascinating depth. While the Orphics expressed these ideas through myth and ritual, the Pythagoreans translated them into mathematics, but not mathematics as we understand it today. For them, numbers weren't merely quantitative tools, but qualitative metaphysical entities, what they called arithmoi archai, numerical archetypes that structured reality itself. Iamblichus, in his Theology of Arithmetic, preserved fragments of this profound numerical mysticism. The monad, number one, wasn't just a quantity but represented the divine principle of unity from which all else emerged, mirroring the Orphic Phanes. The dyad, two, embodied division and multiplicity. The tetractys, a triangular arrangement of 10 points, was considered so sacred that Pythagoreans swore oaths upon it, seeing in its perfect form the structure of the cosmos itself. As philosopher Simone Weil would later observe, the Pythagoreans did not study mathematics for its practical applications, but as a bridge between the visible and invisible worlds. This approach to mathematics as a spiritual discipline, rather than merely a practical tool, would be explored more deeply in another video. But it's crucial to understand that for these ancient thinkers, mathematical study was a form of initiation itself. Perhaps the most closely guarded Orphic Pythagorean teaching concerned what happened during the highest levels of initiation. According to scattered references in later texts, the most advanced initiates experienced what the Greeks called hypoptia, direct vision of sacred realities. Through carefully designed rituals involving specific musical harmonies, geometric demonstrations, and symbolic dramas, initiates were guided into altered states of consciousness where they claimed to perceive the mathematical structure of reality directly. Plato, himself likely initiated into these mysteries, alludes to this experience in his famous Allegory of the Cave, where the philosopher ascends from the world of shadows to behold true reality. What if this wasn't just a metaphor, but a description of the transformative experience at the heart of the Orphic Pythagorean tradition? The elite intellectual circle surrounding Pythagoras wasn't just impressing the public with mathematical tricks. They were guardians of a tradition that claimed to offer nothing less than liberation from the cycle of reincarnation through mathematical understanding of cosmic harmony. And what if the most profound secret they protected was that numbers themselves were not human inventions, but divine principles, the very language in which reality was written? What does this tell us about the true nature of these ancient mystery traditions? And what might we still be missing about their profound understanding of reality? What began as an exploration of ancient mystery cults has led us to something far more profound, a glimpse into a world where mathematics, mysticism, and music weren't separate disciplines, but different expressions of the same cosmic truth. The Pythagorean Orphic connection reveals an ancient understanding that challenges our modern compartmentalized thinking. Consider how these ancient traditions continue to echo through history. When Renaissance philosophers like Marsilio Ficino revived Platonic thought in 15th century Florence, they weren't just recovering abstract philosophy, they were tapping into this same tradition of mathematical mysticism. When Johannes Kepler searched for the harmony of the spheres in planetary orbits, he was following a path first walked by Pythagorean initiates thousands of years earlier. Even in our modern world, these ancient mysteries leave their fingerprints. The golden ratio, that mathematical proportion the Pythagoreans considered divine, appears in everything from the spiral of galaxies to the structure of DNA. The mathematical harmony they discovered in music continues to be the foundation of Western musical theory. As Shakespeare's Lorenzo says in The Merchant of Venice, "The man that hath no music in himself has fit for treasons, stratagems, and spoils," echoing the Pythagorean belief that mathematical harmony in music reflected moral harmony in the soul. What if these ancient thinkers weren't just primitive philosophers groping towards scientific understanding, but guardians of a profound approach to reality that we've largely forgotten? What if their integration of mathematics, music, and mysticism wasn't superstition, but a more holistic understanding than our modern specialized disciplines? Allow the gold tablets found in those ancient graves contain a final instruction that seems particularly poignant. Remember, not just remember the password to the afterlife, but remember your divine origin. Remember the harmony of the cosmos. Remember what your soul knew before birth. Perhaps that's the most valuable lesson we can take from these ancient mysteries. Not their specific beliefs about reincarnation or cosmic eggs, but their fundamental insight that the universe operates according to patterns that can be perceived through different lenses: mathematical, musical, mythical. That reality might be approached through multiple complementary paths of understanding. Like it, hit subscribe for more explorations into history's most enigmatic secrets.